Good morning. And welcome to the Economic Development Advisory Board for the City of Daytona Beach. It's Wednesday, May 15th. Emery, call the roll, please.
Thomas Milan.
Here.
Tim Davis. Phil Ellinger.
Here.
Carol Killian.
Here.
Lawrence McDermott.
Here.
Ruth Traeger. Bishop Derek Triplett. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Have anybody read through them? Carol, have you read through them?
Yes, I read.
It's such a good. I read through them, and I didn't see any changes. Did you?
I make a motion that they're approved.
Second.
As read.
I got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Volusia County Health Department. Suzanne Grubbs. Hello, Suzanne Grubbs.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Would you please state your full name and your address, please?
Sure. My name is Suzanne Grubbs. I'm with the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County. As you can see, we had a name change and a logo change as well. My address is 4628 South Moon Trail in Port Orange, Florida. And today I'm going to be talking about employing health in Volusia County. So I do thank you for having me this morning. I wanted to start off by talking about that where we eat, live, work, and play truly matters to our health and the health of our employees. And in your packets, you do have a copy of the slides that I'll be talking about today. So above you'll see that several different factors influence a person's health, their individual health. Health outcomes are mortality and morbidity. Mortality is how long you live, and it tells whether or not people are dying too early. And then mortality is illness or your quality of life, and it tells how people feel while they're living. And some health factors include health behaviors, which are tobacco use, diet and exercise, alcohol use, and sexual activity, as well as clinical care, which is your ability to access care, and quality of the care you're receiving. We have social and economic factors as well, which is your education, your employment, and your income, family and social support, as well as community safety. And then your physical environment, where you are living, what your environmental quality is, and the built environment surrounding you. As you can see, that clinical care only accounts for 20% of your health outcome. And we have very good quality clinical care here in Volusia County. But you can see that health behaviors has a much larger impact on your health, which is your individual choices, your tobacco use. And then social and economic factors have an even greater role, 40%. So the amount of education that we're receiving here in Volusia County, the income that we get, and the quality of our employment has a 40% influence on our health. And then policies and programs, so as an economic development board, you have the ability to influence policies and procedures. And what policies and programs are in place determines whether or not people are more or less likely to engage in those risky behaviors, their access to quality clinical care, and their economic and education status, and how socially connected they feel. So that kind of gives you an overview of what makes up your day-to-day health, with health behaviors and social and economic factors having a very large role in our health. So each year, for the past 4 years, the University of Wisconsin and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation has provided a snapshot of what the health of the people in each county throughout the nation ranks. And Florida in 2012 ranked 34th among the 50 states for overall health. And Volusia County ranks 42nd out of 67 counties here in the state of Florida. So that's kind of mediocre. And Volusia County is mediocre minus overall in the state of Florida, which means the health of the workforce here in Volusia County is also kind of mediocre.
Ms. Grubbs, where is I guess, are those like percentiles?
Yes, that's a ranking. So this is under health outcomes, 42nd would be the 42nd out of 67 counties here in the state of Florida. And so the morbidity and mortality, we're ranking 45th and 46th in the state of Florida. Yeah. So we have gone down. So we were kind of mediocre last year. We're kind of mediocre minus this year. We have not improved in those areas. You can see also in Volusia County, we're ranking 12th in clinical care, so we have overall very good clinical care here in Volusia County. Our health behaviors are 33rd in the 67 counties, and our social and economic factors are 38 out of the 67 counties. So there we're kind of really mediocre. And so I'm going to talk about what we can do about that. And this kind of gives you just a general overall view of where Volusia County is ranking in Florida. So the coastline counties are between 1st and 17th, so higher wealth and prosperity certainly has an influence on that. And you can see the poorest health is kind of in our northern region there.
Wow.
So there's a definite correlation that you see between income.
Yes, if we go back to those factors that influence health under the social and economic factors, your education, income, and employment have a 40% influence on your overall health. Where most people think how good of our clinical care has the greatest influence, where that's not
Can I ask
the
you,
case.
while we're back there, what factor, or is there a percentage that you have that the social and economic factors contribute to the health behavior? So how much does that 40%, the activity in that 40, the existence of that 40% contribute to the activity in that 30%?
Oh, I don't have that number, but for example, community safety as a social and economic factor, if people don't feel comfortable stepping outside their home to go walk in their neighborhood, which would be a health behavior, then they are less likely to diet and exercise to improve their health. So that certainly has a large role, especially with the built environment. Your community safety influences your health behavior. If I don't feel comfortable walking in my neighborhood, then I'm not going to engage, and I might not have the available transportation to get me someplace that I do feel safe in walking in a neighborhood.
And maybe I can do this offline, but is there access to that research, what you just spoke of?
I'm sure there is. We can take a look at how large of an influence those social and economic factors have on health behaviors.
Okay, thank you.
Because it does have an influence.
Derek, I know that I don't come to every commission meeting, but I come to at least one a month. And one commission meeting I was at, this was last year, the city actually has a walkability study.
Okay.
And that they go, and I can't remember who is working on it. Emery, you might know. they went through the various neighborhoods and areas, and if you have a sidewalk that's different levels and
Or no sidewalk at all.
or no sidewalk at all, or if there's trees and bushes obscuring the walkability, then and I think they go through public safety as well. Those types of things were, they did an evaluation of some of the neighborhoods. I don't know where they're at with that study, and I don't know if that study's been completed, but maybe Emery can get offline
Yeah.
with you
Yeah.
and determine who that is. Maybe you can have a conversation with them.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Volusia County, or the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County, along with the Midtown Health Equity Action Team, had the opportunity last year to facilitate a walkability audit along South, Keach, and Orange Avenue to identify not only the good conditions, but the opportunities for improvements in those areas as well. And so we have been working very diligently on improving community health and walkability in those areas.
Yeah, the factors, I guess, the three biggest factors of any is smoking and lack of exercise and obesity. Those would be your three biggest health factors that you can see other than.
Yeah, alcohol use in addition,
Things where
and,
you have your sexual
and sexual behaviors. Yeah, those make up the health behavior portion of the health factors.
One thing, when you look at that slide that you had up there with the percentages, where we dropped from 32nd to 40-something, that clearly shows to me how much our economic situation has really permeated into that area, because I don't know, it seems to me that when you don't have money,
You're not able to afford health insurance.
Yeah.
Yes, the education employment income is part of that social and economic support, makes up 40%. And so stress as well is a contributor. So those stressors on our income and our employment do have an influence on our health as well. You were talking earlier about obesity, and so in Florida, you can see that we don't have such a good rate for people who are overweight or obese. Volusia County has 25% of those who are greatly overnourished, and 26% who do no kind of leisure physical activity at all. Chronic diseases are the leading cause of death and disability in the United States. Healthy lifestyle, including physical activity, can lower this rate of obesity and chronic disease. Obesity is one of the nation's fastest rising health problems, and 2/3 of American adults 20 years old and over are overweight or obese. And the total economic cost of obesity is $270 billion per year. Americans born today might not live as long as their parents. And lowering Floridians' body mass index by just 5% could save over $12 billion by 2020. We were talking about chronic diseases. The diabetes trend very closely follows this pattern of obesity, as do chronic diseases as well. So, what can we do? Well, creating a healthier Volusia provides a very big return on investment. Smoking alone in Florida, which is one of those health behaviors that contributes to 30% of our overall health, costs about $4.4 billion in workplace productivity losses each year. Smokers tend to be absent 1.5 times more often than non-smokers, and average 76.5 hours lost per year as compared with non-smokers. Annual employer costs due to lost productivity and medical expenses are about $3,400 per employee per year. So what can we do as businesses and as employers working towards positive economic development in Volusia County to counterbalance these alarming declining trends? One of the easiest and most cost-effective measures is to support employee wellness programs, including tobacco cessation as part of that. And I have a handout in your packet from the Tobacco Cessation Alliance. Tobacco cessation programs doubles a person's success rate in quitting smoking. And the Florida Department of Health and the Volusia County has a very strong tobacco-free partnership. So I encourage you to check out our website and take a look at the tobacco-free partnership. Virginia Henson is very good at working with businesses in facilitating tobacco cessation. Again, creating a healthier Volusia provides good return on investment. For example, at DuPont, each dollar invested in workplace health promotion yielded a 1.42 lower absenteeism cost over a 2-year period. And Johnson & Johnson reduced their absenteeism rate by 15% and cut hospital costs by 34% just by having a workplace wellness program in place. Walking is one of the most practical and beneficial and accessible forms of physical activity. We were talking about walking earlier. This year, the Surgeon General's call to action is for walking as a step in the right direction for all Americans. So supporting walking at work as well as safe and walkable communities and walkable infrastructure is very important to community health as well as the health of our employees. So taking small steps in advocating for healthier choices in our places of work, in our neighborhoods, in our communities will make Volusia a very strong, viable, equitable, healthy, and economically sound place to live, work, and play. And together we can make the healthy choice the easy choice. Thank you so much. Do you have questions?
Oh, excellent.
What would you like for us to do?
Well, as policy makers, you have the unique opportunity in looking at health in all policies. And so it's very important to consider health in making the policies that you make. Most people don't, like for economic development, why is the Volusia County Health, or the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County wanting to address the Economic Development Board? Well, you guys are able to influence policy. And so when businesses go in, you can look at, are they looking at health in putting those businesses in place? Is there workplace wellness programs? Are they building with not just the minimum infrastructure? Are they going from a 4-foot sidewalk to something greater that's going to facilitate walkability and greater community health? So we would ask that you consider health in all policies, and we can certainly help you facilitate that. I do encourage you to check out our website, volusiahealth.com. We do have a lot of our health equity initiatives, our walkability initiatives, greater access to food, the tobacco-free partnership, and workplace wellness available on that website. And so if you need more information, we're also happy to provide data to you as well regarding the health of the community overall, the health of the workers.
Well, I was going to save this announcement for later in the program, but I'm sure you're going to be taking off. And Carol and I and several others have been working through the Daytona Beach Vision Foundation and to create a Volunteers in Medicine Clinic. In fact, we spoke to you all over a year ago at the Health Department about beginning that step, and we've been going inch by inch, sometimes millimeter by millimeter. And what really has stymied going forward, and Volunteers in Medicine Clinic would assist the working uninsured. Okay, those people 18 to 65, 64 that work but have no health insurance coverage, and we're finding that numbers over 20%. That population between 18 and 64, at least that's what it's purported to be, and that is going to be growing because of some of the things that are going through with the Affordable Health Care Act has kind of backfired. In fact, because a lot of employers are going and taking the employees and putting them on part-time and then cutting their health care. And so, and there's a lot of employers that just don't offer health care in a lot of the different industries in this county, in this city. That being said, we're one step closer with a working relationship with Bethune-Cookman University and their nursing department, plus for Bethune-Cookman providing a place on their campus for us to have our first clinic. And that would be, and it's really, it's on the campus, but it's not on the campus. It's a building that they've owned for a number of years, and we went to the tour last week. We're going back this week, I think, to tour through it again. Absolutely perfect for what we need to begin the clinic, plus their nursing program is a full 4-year nursing program, which would help out. Plus they have a business department that could help us out, and different other services. And we're just very, very happy that we could get that point. Because once we have a place, then I think all the pieces will fall together.
That is exciting.
I don't know, Carol, you have any
At
more
least
to
we
say?
hope so.
Yeah, that's very exciting news.
Yeah, so this is something we've been working on the Vision Foundation for over a year, maybe
2
longer.
years, almost 2 years,
Almost
yeah.
2 years. So it's been a very, very, as I said, inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter type of thing.
The deal behind it is to put the number of retired physicians and nursing people, the medical community here, because they want to volunteer and get back and stay in the workplace, and this will allow that. We're hoping to have maybe 6 or 7 units within this building where we can serve a pretty good number of people.
That's excellent. Yeah. I know, although our quality of clinical care is excellent, accessing that care is more of a challenge,
right.
Especially for communities that are lacking in health equity.
Right.
And so
now,
that's
how
excellent.
much of this stuff, your stats and everything, Florida has a senior citizen rate, percentage of people, especially in Volusia County, as far as seniors. I know you're talking about work.
Yeah, this was Volusia County overall, which
Right.
would have included that population. It's not pulled out separately for this presentation.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
Well,
very
thank you
much.
very
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody want a Krispy Kreme now?
Yeah, in your packets are some healthy meeting guidelines suggesting healthy
Those
snacks.
healthy, artery-clogging
Healthy
Krispy
artery-
Kremes?
If I may, Mr. Chair, I was just going to say, I didn't hear Suzanne comment anything about glazed donuts and
There you go.
buying local from the local Krispy
Buy
Kreme.
local, buy local, that's
There you
right.
go. Okay, reports. Rob.
Good morning, everyone. Rob Earhart with the Volusia County Economic Development Group. First, I wanted to just state the obvious. Congratulations to the city of Daytona Beach on Hard Rock as a flag for the Bayshore Capital condo hotel project, beachside. That's an exciting announcement. Personally, I believe that we will look back and reflect on that as one of the premier announcements for this city in this century. So again, congratulations. A lot of work to be done yet there, but what an impact. And if Tim were here, I think he'd be able to share with you what the News Journal reported the following day. He was exhausted, apparently, at the end of the day for all the calls that he got from people seeking commercial properties in and around that site. So, again, congratulations. You each have before you a copy of the Q report that we recently delivered to the community a week ago Friday. I don't plan to go through that report, but there's a lot of good news in there. In general, unemployment is down, permitting activity and employment is up, and foreclosures, though they ticked up, new foreclosures that have been filed ticked up slightly. The sale of existing foreclosures continues to rise. So again, there's a lot of good news, not only just here in the city of Daytona Beach, but throughout the county. I would point out just a few details. Overall, Volusia County, for the month of March, unemployment rate is 6.9%. That compares to 9.1% a year ago. More to the point, for the city of Daytona Beach, month of March, unemployment 7.4%. That compares very favorably to the city of Daytona Beach a year ago. Unemployment was 9.7%. So you're down over 2 points, 2 full percentage points. That's exciting. And again, new construction residential permits are up. So once somebody buys a house, I commented at the Q report that commercial, you see the young couple on TV, they've just purchased a house, they're standing in their driveway looking at their empty garage. What are we got to take care of the yard, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. So that then leads to quite a bit of retail opportunity, and I think it reflects positively that consumer, for nationally, consumer confidence was, gross domestic product was about 2.5% increase, but consumer increase in purchasing was up over 3%. So generally, our economy, people are feeling good about our economy, and they're beginning to let go of some of that discretionary income. You also have a copy of the Economic Development Quarterly in front of you. Excuse me, a nice picture regarding the grand opening of the county's Emergency Operations Center. If you've not been there, we'd certainly invite you to get a tour of that facility. It's a phenomenal location. I hope we don't need to use it for its intended purpose anytime soon. But in particular, inside the EDQ, I draw your attention to page 3. There's a nice article on Bethune-Cookman University. And so feel free to peruse this at your leisure. If you've got suggestions for content for this EDQ or future issues of the EDQ, I'm open to, I would appreciate your suggestions in that regard. I had the honor to attend the Embry-Riddle Board of Visitors meeting 2 weeks ago today, and there was a annual report by Dr. Johnson. If you haven't heard Dr. Johnson, the president at Embry-Riddle, recently speak to the state of the university and what his vision is for the next 10 years, I don't know how you cannot be excited after you hear him give his very rousing vision for that university. There's very exciting things happening there. So again, you're most fortunate to have that as an anchor here in your community. And they're working very hard to not only bring the research park itself forward, the infrastructure and physically bring that forward, but the relationships that they're working to create in industry that would potentially lead to tenants sooner than later. So we all read in the News Journal the announcement that the former Crane Cams building at 530 Fentress has been leased, so that's exciting. I don't have to tell you that that's been sitting idle for quite some time, and Larry, you were commenting that there's quite a number of industrial properties along Fentress, so there's certainly growth opportunity there, and I had provided to you each a copy of one of the many press releases that have come out in the last week or so regarding the governor's highlighting the fact that the state legislature has agreed to do away with the, for I think it's a 3-year period of time, the tax on purchase of manufacturing equipment. So I know various local manufacturers have commented positively on that. Steve Kotchett, president at AO Precision in particular, has been very vocal in support of that. So again, that's a positive step forward.
Well, all they have to do, Rob, is buy it on the internet. Yeah, right? Right now, anyway. Let me ask you a question, real quick. The Bethune-Cookman, Embry-Riddle, Bethune-Cookman, Daytona State, how much does that take into consideration when prospects come in the area? They like to see that those types of educational facilities in the community, don't they?
Keith is your chief prospector. If you don't mind,
Okay.
I'll turn that question to him.
Sure. It's always important in almost every project we work, the education component comes up. They want to see the number of students we have, and then there's also the added complexity of finding out how many of those students that are educated here stay here. So it's always coming up in every search that we do. It's so important, and we are blessed with many fine institutions here in Volusia County.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rob.
Oh, no worries. I'm almost finished. Just continuing on, I think at the last meeting I made a reference to County Council's consideration of the commercial spaceport opportunity and Space Florida's efforts to bring that to the state and their focus on doing so in the southeast Volusia area. And in fact, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, Volusia County Council considered and passed by a 6-to-1 vote a resolution of support for a commercial spaceport. So I wanted to thank Jim Cameron and the Daytona Regional Chamber. I meant to bring the placard with me that he had produced, but there were a lot of signs waving in the council chambers to basically say we support and want these commercial spaceport jobs in our area. It was an interesting public comment, lasted about 3 hours. There were almost 60 people that spoke. From my perspective, they were split about half absolutely in support of commercial spaceport, and that included Dr. Heiss, the chancellor at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And then there were about half the people that expressed concerns. Of that half, I would say, this is just my own assessment, about half of those were more in the, this is not something that we want for a variety of environmental concerns. And of the remaining 25%, it was basically, we absolutely support the commercial spaceport industry. We want the jobs here. We just don't think that the area currently being considered is the right place. So it was, and I think there was a balance in the dialogue that day. And here's if you want to pass this around, here's a copy of the
banner.
poster
Yeah.
that Jim and the Daytona Regional Chamber put together for everybody. Finally, I just wanted to bring your attention to future events. June 7th at the Volusia County Fairgrounds. Excuse me, June 7th, State Representative David Santiago is hosting an event that lasts, I believe it's 9:30 to 11:30.
Hey, Rob.
And,
That's going to be changed.
okay?
Yeah. They're looking to move that to another date.
No, okay, we'll stretch that.
All right, so we won't scratch June 7th, but the intent, and the way I understand it's being marketed or branded, is East meets West. It's an opportunity for us, again, to be Volusia County and not this community versus that community, but bring a lot of the resources together to make sure that people understand what those resources are and how it can help their particular situation, be they a business owner, somebody who wants to start a business, et cetera. For changing the date, for the June 7th date, they had a commitment from Governor Scott to be there for 90 minutes. So we'll see if we can't get you an update on that when it's available. And lastly, June 11th at the Daytona Beach Hilton is the Center for Business Excellence Business Summit. And so we just had a presentation on healthcare and healthcare and business. Healthcare and business, again, is the focus of this business summit. And Rick Frazier and his team, as you know, worked very hard to make this an effective forum. And this year in particular, they're having a panel discussion that will include both Daryl Toll and Jeff Fizel at Halifax Health. So Rick feels very fortunate to have those two very strong business leaders in that
Jeff
industry. Fizel, excuse me. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best to field those. I apologize, Mr. Chair, but I've got a 9 o'clock IDA meeting that I need to run to.
No problem, I just need.
I got a quick question, Rob. Well, actually, two quick ones. A while back, we were, it's a workforce issue, having trouble meeting the, filling those manufacturing jobs. And how are we doing with that these days?
You can look in the Q book, and you can see that manufacturing was not the number one industry in increase, but it was one of the notable increases. I think it's on page 6 or 7. Let's find my way there. Page 5. I'll just
Got it.
before directly answer your question. Leisure and hospitality was up over 1,000 jobs. When I say that it was up, this is a comparison of average first quarter employment in 2013 as compared to the same quarter a year ago. And retail trade was up almost 1,000 jobs. But specific to manufacturing, you can see it was up over 200. So yes, they are hiring. Yes, there are more positions available to be filled. Yes, they're still having issues finding what they consider qualified people to be. I believe that a lot of the programs and initiatives that have been in place are addressing successfully some of those needs, but there's more needs to follow. And as Phil was fond of reminding people when he was a director of economic development at the county, is part of the opportunity for industry here relates directly to the in-migration dynamics for the state. So if there are people in the Northeast or the Mid-Atlantic, as an example, that have some plan to either preview their potential retirement or just simply, I'm tired of the weather, I'm ready to move, or they're in retirement, they're not able to do so or haven't been able to do so recently because they're kind of locked into their situation there from a financial perspective. So I think we're going to start to see in-migration pick up in the state and create more opportunity for local manufacturers to reach out to areas and say, come to Florida and fill one of our needs for level 2 or level 3 CNC machinists. But we should also remind you that this is a national issue. There are various locations across the country that are having this same issue, Bishop Triplett. It's not just Volusia County.
Thanks.
Rob, before you dash off, would you send me a copy of that PLR, the zoning commission meeting yesterday, the asphalt plant?
PLDRC?
Yeah. Can you send me that presentation? Can you email it to me?
I will make that happen, yes.
Thanks.
Or would you prefer I send it to Emery and he send it to everybody on the board? Whichever.
I don't know if anybody else has an interest in it if they want it, sure.
Okay.
I was going to suggest that.
Yeah,
I just want to see what the hubbub is about.
yeah.
This relates directly to the asphalt plant?
Yeah, the Sam Sewell.
Sam Sewell Ave, okay. Great. Anybody else? Thank you so much for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
In closing, let me congratulate Mr. Ellinger, just surpassed his one-year retirement date.
Yay.
And by the way, that turns into congratulations for Rob Earhart, who's got 1 year at the helm. Which I think is a lot more important, particularly since once I left, you can look at all the statistics and see that everything's improved in the county.
Just a coincidence. Just
Thanks,
a
Rob. No,
coincidence, Phil.
thanks.
Just a coincidence.
Okay. Mr. Norton.
Good morning. We've been, continue to be busy at Team Volusia, and we've seen an uptick in project activity. But again, as I've mentioned on prior visits, we look very closely at the pipeline. We meet on the pipeline daily to make sure that we are removing projects that we believe are not qualified or don't have distanced their decision process by many months or years. So we have a very finite vision of what we believe could close. And right now we have 1,210 jobs potential in a pipeline of 11 projects. Now, as many of you realize, we have our projects placed in different stages. Stage 0 is a referral and very few are ever in the referral stage because we send information immediately. But stage 1, it's projects that we've sent information on that have not visited. And we have one that actually is an EFI project, Project Byte, which is a data center, not a large employer, 10 employees, but they have shortlisted Volusia County with one site in particular in Daytona Beach and one in Ormond Beach. And we're one of 10 communities considered for that project, which is great when you send information and you become shortlisted communities. But again, it's stage 1, which we all know site selection is a process of elimination. So if they haven't visited, they haven't kicked the dirt, so to speak. But stage 2, we do have 3 projects with a total of 500 employees. One of those, the largest employer, is Project Dow, and they're still looking at Deltona for a former retail space. We hope to visit the consultant in the next few weeks just to say, what can we do to make this happen? It is an incentive-driven project, which is always a concern because of what they're being offered by other communities. Stage 3, we have 2 projects. Ringtone has shortlisted Volusia County and, in fact, Daytona Beach as a on-the-shelf location. They have gone to corporate, the board. They've approved our location. There is not a project. They're waiting for the next client to come in, and we're one of 3 locations in the U.S. to have that on-the-shelf status. They're coming back in June to look at a couple of real estate opportunities here in Daytona Beach. They've already previewed one of them, but they want to come back and see a second opportunity. Again, that's subject to a new client coming on board, but they are fully maxed out in their activities, so we should, that should be a very good project. 600 jobs, about 60 to 70 to 80 very high paid jobs, and the rest are at the average or below. But still, they come with benefits, and it's a national company. Promo is another second stage or third stage project, and they are continuing to look at facilities in Volusia County. That's a direct referral. And then stage 4, we still have Project Nickel that you all were kind enough to incentivize. That project is being led by the CEO Business Alliance because of their relationship with NASCAR. They're waiting for a contract from Venezuela, but of course there was a change of leadership in Venezuela, so we're not sure how whether it's going to be good or bad, but that is being led by the CEO Business Alliance. Daytona Beach and South Daytona were the communities that incentivize that project. Project AIR is a project that we picked up from PIA, the parachute industry show that we exhibited at. It's a global show that exhibited at Ocean Center because of the parachute industry in DeLand. And they are negotiating for a site now in Daytona Beach. It is a wind tunnel entertainment center which simulates skydiving, and they are currently negotiating on a site in Daytona Beach. And then we did announce Project Atlas that you were kind enough with Emory to work on, the Darden restaurant. And that was just announced, and 64 full-time jobs and then much more employment on top of that. So we're excited about that. And then as far as activities, every activity we do is designed to feed the pipeline. So far through May, we had 11 activities, outreach, trade shows, face-to-face meetings with corporate executives, site location missions. We have 2 more planned this month, one to Latin America and then one to ICSC, and my staff is working with Emory and other practitioners to gather suitable sites, both retail and development sites, to show in the show that comes next week. They are going to be working very closely with our Vice Chair, John Wanamaker, who is with Caldwell Banker. Caldwell Banker actually has a $1 million exhibit for the show, and they've been invited to use that for meetings. They have 11 closing rooms. And then investor relations, we know how important it is to make sure that we have private funding and continue to increase private funding. We have a full-fledged investor relations committee, and with a goal of $75,000 in increased private funding. And we are we're gaining board members at a $10,000 level, and lower level investors, $2,500 to $5,000. So we're along the road. Probably by yesterday, we've done probably about almost $20,000 of increased private investment. So we're excited about that. And the key is to have a 50-50 split. Right now, we're about 47-53, 53 public, 47 private. Delighted to be here, and things are moving. And as I mentioned last meeting, the organization, because of our change of focus last year into promotion and business recruitment, we are a sales organization. So we have those goals, and we meet about the goals and the leads and on a daily basis. So it seems to be working. Yes, Mr. Ellinger.
If you need, when you have people coming to visit, obviously you work through Emory, but if you need some ambassadors, additional salespeople, please feel free to call on us as far as showing our sincerity toward these companies moving here and our commitment to the city of Daytona Beach.
We will. And what we're doing is typically when we know that Daytona Beach is being considered and these projects have just decided on a Daytona Beach location or shortlisted, then this is the appropriate time for you all to meet them. And they're good projects, and they were basically direct leads, which is exciting because, again, we are wonderful, wonderful partners of Enterprise Florida, but we cannot be reactive. We cannot wait for an Enterprise Florida lead to come in and just work on that lead. As Mr. Ellinger would know with his past involvement with the county when they were focused on recruitment, you have to be getting direct leads and direct projects because you cannot wait on a third party to bring projects to you.
What, are there any programs where you're reaching out to the businesses in the area here and finding out what key suppliers or tradesmen that they use that may be able to, that might could move in the area?
Well, actually, the county is the lead on business retention and expansion. So they, along with the Chambers of Commerce, have those call programs on existing industry. But the county has been in the chambers have been very good in supplying information when we're going to a certain area. We're going to a certain targeted industry trade show. But that is a wonderful source of leads, is our existing industries having those supplier connections.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
I just had a comment. You should note that both Project Nickel and Atlas came before this board and received incentives. And I'm going to be in touch with Keith and his staff. I just got had a conversation yesterday with Ed Schwartz.
Great.
And he's got 3 property sites that he wants to make sure are being touted.
Wonderful. Yeah, and staff is actually, we've added several buildings. Our sites and building database is being revamped, and we're working with the Board of Realtors. We have gotten the approval with our group that does our sites or hosts our sites to get direct feeds from MLS, which is going to be a lot easier because that means that the brokers can update their products and they will go directly to us. And we're working with the Board of Realtors in trying to make sure that the commercial and industrial real estate groups know about that.
So did you have your meeting with Linda?
We are working with Linda, and we're having a meeting. Actually, we're doing a business appreciation event for the invitation is going out today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but on May 29th. And it's not asking them to participate financially. It's just thanking them
Just
for
show
their
up.
business. Yeah, just show up so that we can talk to them about our upgrading of the buildings and sites and just thank them for what they do. So
My invitation still is, as long as you get a box of Krispy Kreme donuts to show up on that first Wednesday.
I am.
And I'll go with you. It's a hoot. That's where you're going to meet up.
well, actually, I come back to town on the 4th of June, so I hope to do the 5th. I haven't told Linda that, but I will, even though these may not be healthy. I guess the real estate community.
But they get it. Yeah, if you want to go healthy, you can get bagels.
Okay, or either I could walk there for myself and then distribute the Krispy Kreme.
It's a hoot. It really is a hoot.
Yeah.
You would.
But it really is the best way because you're there just to observe
It
the
is
meeting.
very off cuff. It's the reason why I go.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for that suggestion.
All right, thanks, Keith. Anybody else?
Just a question. Can we ask Dr. Sharples to come? I think we talked about that before.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have it on my listing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got that down too. Thank you very much, Keith, and
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Rick Frazier on that.
Rick Frazier, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Good idea.
That would be great. Thanks.
All right,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Cameron. I asked Mr. Cameron to come and actually be a part of this group because the chamber has not had representation for several months and need to know, from their perspective, what's going on in the area and what's happening with, the local businesses that might not be covered by the other two entities. So if that's possible, if that's all right, we'll just continue to put you on the agenda along with Team Volusia and the Volusia County folks. Okay? So is anything going on? You're on.
Mike's on.
No,
If you don't have anything to report, that's
no,
fine.
seriously, a couple things. I mean, like Rob had mentioned 2 weeks ago, though, I mean, we're very much interested in the resolution regarding Space Florida commercial launch site, and I want to appreciate everybody that came out that day and spoke in support of that resolution. Somebody had said at that meeting, though, that, hey, don't worry about what's going on here in Volusia County because the final decision is going to be made up in Washington and all. We're taking a group to Washington next month to talk with several members of our congressional delegation and some others. And we're looking to have somebody from Team Volusia and also County Economic Development. We're going up there the 18th and 19th of June. And we've got several meetings lined up. It's just going to be a quick 2-day visit, though. But we want to relay that support to them down here from Volusia County as to how important this is to us, because we feel that can provide great economic benefits for the whole county for years to come. And also, in addition to what Keith was saying as far as prospects, we're working with them chamber-wise with our what's called Volusia Tech Council. And this is a group that we've 2 years now, and we're excited about that, whereas what we're wanting to do is that if they have a prospect comes to town that have specialized computer needs or need to know about wiring or something here in Volusia County, that's when our computer geeks, we got about 15 or 20 of them and all, have our computer geeks here locally talk with their computer geeks. But I mean, at least, where they have a good understanding as to what we have here available, though. And that these folks can, talk the same language, so to speak. So we feel that might, because Keith has said, I mean, when they start talking at that level, I mean, we're thinking.
I might add that on
us.
Project Bite, that committee is putting a letter of support together, since that's the project that we're shortlisted on data center. But that's where we went, and that great team of geeks. So
Yeah, well, everybody knows how computer savvy I am. So it's.
This is my
I'm right there with you.
Not.
You do not want me talking to those people.
Well, Jim gets a lot of credit because he really started that group. He was the one who really, a couple of years ago, started to and worked single-handedly to try to pull people together, because to see what was the cabling, what was in the ground, what was here in Volusia County that some people know. And it took him a long time because the various different agencies, the wireless companies, didn't want to talk to each other. They each had their maps of where their stuff was, but they didn't want to share it. AT&T didn't want to share it with Bright House and so on. And he's gradually brought all that together, and then to bring in the people from, say, Speedway and the other people here who really use those kinds of services and they all talk a common language. So so thank you, Jim, for starting back.
Appreciate
that time.
that.
It was a head scratcher as to whether it'd work.
Yeah, no, that's great, because that's a resource.
Right.
That's absolutely a resource, and when you're starting a business here, information is key, and if you can't get it in the fashion that you need it, you cannot go there unless you want to spend all the money for the infrastructure to get there.
Well, just to have on that committee, you've got the chief information officer, the chief technology officer of ISC. That speaks volume. That's a corporate entity, that publicly traded, huge corporation, where we can bring in that group, and here he sits to talk about technology in Volusia County. So I agree, it's a wonderful benefit.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. Thanks for being here today, and hopefully I won't put you on the spot again.
No,
But you shouldn't show up at the gym when I'm.
No.
That's why I buttonhole Jim.
Yeah, he just got his master's jacket on.
Yeah, I know it does.
Yeah, right.
Any other questions of Jim? Okay, well, thank you.
No questions of Jim, but if it pleases the board, we would, to add Jim to the board,
Great.
we would
Right.
have to take, if you give me the direction, motion second, to work on adding the chamber to our board as an ex officio member, I will see if
Well, I think
can.
that they always were before.
No,
they gave it up.
would be.
It's-
Because we always had a representative
It's
from the
replaced
chamber.
by, it was replaced by Team Volusia.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Right.
well, I entertain a motion. Do I have a motion for
I'll
that?
move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, any old business? I don't think we have anything old business on there, do we?
Well, we do have the Vision Foundation report.
Oh, I already gave it.
Well, he already
I gave it
did
early.
with the health thing. Yeah.
I thought she was doing, I thought Ms. Grubbs was gonna be leaving early, and I thought I'd tell her.
Okay.
She stayed right here, so if she must love to be bored.
I would just
That's the only thing that,
mention that there are a couple of articles in the back of your handout today, one of which talks about a gap in services and talks about health and what have you. You have that as well. And there's another handout that talks about handing over the keys to the Teledyne building. I attended that ceremony. You couldn't tell it by the picture, but that was a great day for the city of Daytona Beach and Volusia County.
two things under new business. One, I did not know whether we should, as a group here, encourage the City of Daytona Beach City Commission to pen a letter of support for Space Florida and the project in the south part of the county. Certainly, it's way outside of our sphere of influence, but I can't fathom there not being jobs created in this area, either by directly people working on the project or subcontractors or some type of services being provided from businesses in Daytona Beach. And I just think it's the more support that we can get to having that in our county would be helpful, I think, to that effort. So,
Well, you could take a letter like that with you up to Washington, right? Are you gathering that type of support? So we could do that.
okay, I need a motion to that effect and the motion would be that we would ask the city of Daytona Beach City Commission to show support for the Space Florida effort to come to the county, and that we would ask them to send that letter to Jim prior to his meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Okay.
Right.
Any discussion?
What's really important, and one thing that Jim knows and Keith knows, that Embry-Riddle is a real key part of attracting
Sure.
any kind of space facilities here. Through Jim's auspices a year or so ago, we had a real nice sit down with Frank DeBello, who came and spoke here, who's the head of Space Florida. The whole engineering technological industry that's here, any company they're going to build a spaceport in South Florida, the parts and a lot of that stuff is going to get flown into Daytona Beach, and it's going to be done there. And the whole idea is to have assembly, have some of that stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So that is important that the City Commission realize we are very much involved, the City of Daytona Beach, through the airport and our community and our colleges and universities, in what's going to make that work. If we get if we were to get the nod, it's going to create a lot of business here. And we tend to think of, a spaceport as being in the south end of the county. It doesn't have anything to do with us, but it does. It has a real big impact, because we have the #1 aerospace engineering university in the world sitting here. So I would just...
It's got to have ramifications, positive ramifications for this community. All right, we have had all the discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, if you could get that to who does that go to, the city clerk?
It will go to the city manager.
City manager? Okay. All right, well, thank you. And point of question. Is Fentress Avenue in Fentress Boulevard, is that a brownfield?
Yes.
It is
within the brownfield
It is within the brownfield. Okay.
area, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I was
They
trying
changed
to
that.
find the brownfield map on
Yeah, well,
their
that doesn't exist. It's almost the whole city now, isn't it?
Not quite,
Not quite.
but yeah, there is.
Almost.
There is one on the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay, we
site.
don't have one on our own site.
No, we don't have it on that. That's the official site. There should be a link to it. I have looked at it. It is a little bit, because we have we've got three actually, but we have two brownfields that are fairly large. One is the Aerospace brownfield, Aero Park brownfield. That's the big one out there that gets Fentress and all along Williamson and what have you. Then we have another one called corridors that we passed, and that goes along specific corridors that are deemed prime for development. And I had somebody come in and say it's the whole city because they look at the corridors, but it's not. It's only the businesses or properties that front those corridors. It's not the stuff behind it.
Well, one of the things that I would like to try to do in this next year is to address Fentress as a special project of this board, mainly because if you drive up and down Fentress, you'll see a bunch of empty buildings. We do have 100,000 plus now being filled, but that leaves a 30,000 square foot building empty, okay, because that company is vacating one to go to another. But that being said, even from a standpoint of being a landlord myself, if someone came to me and said, your facility is in a special area And, to encourage you to do what it may need to be done to upgrade your facility or make it more useful for various industries or whatever. I think that we need to look at that, because if you rent a building at, I don't know, $6 a square foot triple net, okay, and out of that triple net you had some sort of incentive package because of the company moving in there, like we've done before on different other landlords, that certainly opens up to them the idea of making that now 585 triple net. In other words, it makes it a little bit more appealing, makes it easier for someone like Keith to go out or Dr. Sharples and recruit that business to come in.
Larry, could you go a little bit deeper into 6 or 585 triple net? What do you mean by that?
Well, triple net would be, the base rent would be $6, and they would also be the tenant would be responsible for the taxes, insurance, and property tax for that unit. So if you lower one of those things, you can't do anything about property tax, okay? I mean, you can do something about property tax. You lower the property tax for the city of Daytona Beach, or the portion, like we have on several other incentive programs, or a couple others. What I was talking about is you can't lower insurance. You could possibly lower insurance by increasing the fire protection of that particular area. So if it was in an area where it was a zone 2, isn't it Daytona Beach mostly zone 2?
I think so.
Yeah, and so that if you can increase that, it lowers their fire insurance. Different things that we could look at to encourage economic development in that area, because that area is key, I think, for Daytona Beach. That was originally the original industrial park for this area, and there's some really nice buildings out there. And industrial buildings, 30, 40 years old, they need updating. But generally speaking, the shell itself is as solid as it can get generally, and most of those buildings, they don't change. But the interior of those buildings, whether it's adding informational technology type of wiring, different types of 3-phase and 4-phase wiring, that type of thing, that does change, okay? And those things need to be there for those things to be rented or sold. Now, I did send you I can't remember the man's name with that P&L, that we call Larry Volanek, their economic development director.
That's the information. That's the name that I need the information
Oh, you
for.
didn't? Okay.
I don't have
Okay,
it.
I thought I emailed it to you.
No.
I'll get that again from Larry.
Okay.
What also I'd like to do is, like we had the health department here, is want them, is at our meeting, have a short speaker. This fellow with the economic FP&L, and I can't think of his name.
It's Lynn Pitts.
Pitts, there you
Yeah,
go.
and he visited last month.
He was here.
Yeah, so at
Yeah.
any time, he doesn't get around too often, but we highlighted, we actually took him to Embry-Riddle and Consolidated Tomoka to see some sites in the ATC. So, he had.
Yeah, I just don't want him here but he needs some other things to do while he's here.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
we have we're happy to help you
Yeah.
with that and help Emory with that.
Those types of people that we could bring in and help educate ourselves here, what it takes to make our city much more appealing to these types of clients that Keith and Dr. Sharples have to work with every day. And perhaps by doing that, upstream that to the city commission to make sure that they understand as well, because there's great ramifications on a lot of things that they do. They may put a bunch of infrastructure out on South Atlantic Avenue to support but then they've got to also make sure the infrastructure on Orange Avenue is going to be working and out west of town, because that infrastructure is needed as well. And this information technology infrastructure that Jim's working at, that's key. And so those types of things, would like to make this meeting a little different in that regard and as well as educational. Do we have a public comment? You came back, so I guess you wanted to talk.
I guess so. You know, I have no problem speaking. And I'm going to be nice. My name is Johnny Ponder.
Yes.
885 Mahalia, Daytona Beach. The reason why I came is Suzanne Grubbs and I are working together, Midtown Heat, and that's a part of the PACE, and I will be happy to come back and talk about that a little bit more. I'm very glad that you were talking about bringing it home to Daytona Beach and how it looks. That's the first thing, because you see with your eyes, and right now our city is kind of in turmoil, I think. I'm not really happy with the way it looks, whether it's on Midtown or the rest of the city. And when you're bringing people in to look at our city, they're going to see it. They're going to feel it. And we need to do a better job with that. And it's not only just the chamber, but it's in my community also. And we need to make sure that the jobs are also there. Let's help train some of these people. There's people that want work, but they don't know about these. They're not going to get up at 8 o'clock and come to y'all meeting. You know, I go to many meetings. I have 3 or 4 of them today. And it's all about the LDC, and it's about trying to help our community as a whole. I'm a black woman, but this is my city. I grew up here, so this is where I do my thing. I do everything, a lot of everything in the city. I know Mr. Cameron very well. I know the vision. I was on the vision with Pastor Triplett when we started out. So I understand where we're going, but it doesn't seem like it's not getting to the people that need it the most. It's nice that this young man comes and he tells us about the county and all of that. But we need to be concentrating on Daytona Beach. That's where we live. That needs to be one of our focus points, because we're talking about all these wonderful things going, but most people don't even know this stuff is happening. You know, in my community, they don't know that. Yes, I know it because I go to meetings and I'm up and I'm doing stuff, but most people don't. And we need to get the workforce educated. And our workforce need to be black, white, Latino, whatever. They need to be educated, and they're not. Workforce development needs to help out a little bit more. Let us know how many people. We can go get some people to help out doing these jobs. You're talking about technical jobs. Most people aren't trained for that. So we got to get them trained. We got to get them educated. And that's going to take all of us, this board, Midtown Redevelopment Board, all of us working together.
Understand.
So that's where I'm coming, and hopefully I can come back. I've talked to Emory about getting the health department here, because that's a part of us. Mm-hmm. You know, if you don't have a healthy community and it's not walkable, and you don't have shade trees, and you don't have, all of that stuff, it's going to be a little difficult. But we can do it, but we got to work together.
Yeah, Johnny,
So, yeah.
I do a lot of walking with my wife, and
Mm-hmm.
we live on the beach side.
Sure.
But how much really could be done by the homeowners themselves and the people who own the properties? That's where we're really at. And I know that the city's going back out and re-looking at all the rentals and trying to bring them up to standard.
Sure.
But I mean, when we walk, I need to carry about a 30-gallon garbage bag, because I can lean over and pick up garbage all day long.
Sure.
Beer cans, beer bottles, Burger King bags and McDonald's bags and all that kind of stuff that people just toss out. But no, they'll stay there forever, because the people in that community and that live on that street think, well, it's not my job to do it.
But they have to be educated and to understand that your property goes to the road, to the street, to the asphalt. And in my community, we don't think about that. We don't think that. We think, okay, it goes to those little hedges that you plant, instead of, no, it goes to that asphalt.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have to continue to tell people. No, your property goes to the asphalt. It doesn't just go where the hedges are. And that's something we got to do.
And so we need to think about some way to bring that to the neighborhoods, and whether the neighborhood's A1A
Sure.
or
It's all
Bailey
over the city.
Street,
It's not just mine.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
I know you're a citizen advocate,
Yes.
and activist, and you always have been, and we applaud that. And I'm glad you're feeling better enough to get up and do this.
Let's fight again.
You know, you're a feisty lady, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other,
Just really minor here. I was looking through our schedule,
yeah,
and we had talked about having our meeting in January, you know, the big meeting for the public thing that we put off this year. So I'm looking at our schedule, and we have no meeting in August, none in September, so that leaves July to try to plan for it and October to plan for it, and I'm a little worried about that.
yeah. Well, I was going to go back over the schedule with Emery, but I don't
Plus-
know why we shouldn't have a meeting in September. Why wouldn't we have a meeting in
Yeah,
September?
plus November, I think that the 13th is the wrong date for that. It should be the 20th if it's our
It's,
third.
Thanksgiving.
Is it Thanksgiving because we have another, is that why we did that? Because
Yes.
I have a conflict with another
But
board.
we probably need to look at
On that
doing
day.
something on September.
It
Yeah.
probably would make more sense to have a meeting in December if it's leading up to the January.
Yeah, or August and September for sure. I mean, I think in July, we need to start thinking about what we're going to do, what we had talked about prior, so that, yeah, we maybe go ahead and schedule a meeting in September or,
Why don't we schedule a meeting in September and tentatively a meeting in December? And if we can't, if it's inconvenient to do a meeting in September, December, at least among two
We need to
or
have-
three of us that have been
yeah, we
involved in
need to
that.
plan for that January meeting fairly ahead of time because it kind of snuck on, you know, we had to end up canceling.
I'll tentatively put August, September, and December up there, and if we want to change it around, we'll change it around.
Okay, I was gonna go to the date real quick.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And I need to go too. so-
All right, well, thank you very much, guys, and on September, it will be the 18th. So it'll be September 18th. Any other business? If not, we're adjourned.